When Ghost of Tsushima was released 5 years ago, it was more than just another open-world game. Sure, it had some repetitive elements typical of the genre. It stood out with its immense respect for samurai cinema and the history of feudal Japan, wrapped in an artistic vision which gave it a charm and style that remain a benchmark for open-world games even today. With Ghost of Yotei scheduled to release in a matter of weeks, I wanted to jump back to the island of Tsushima and revisit the magnum opus that Sucker Punch created for themselves back in 2020. And wow, I remembered the game looking and playing great, but I was genuinely shocked by how well it holds up. In this video, we will delve into everything Ghost of Tsushima, which includes the breathtaking world and presentation, its stylish and feature-packed gameplay, the story and the characters, and some of the side contents. We will also warm up for Yōtei by discussing my expectations and what I hope it will learn and improve on. Okay, enough preamble, let's jump right into it. What exactly more can I add to the conversation about how good this game looks? I've been doing YouTube for 11 months now. In other video editing, I had to search for the best possible moments from my gameplay recordings. But with this game, I don't even have to bother. Every single second you spend in this game is visually magnificent, breathtaking, cinematic, amazing, gorgeous. I am running out of superlatives at this point because all of them apply to this game. Look at how many times I've done the E3 style camera pan in this video already. You might get a hint of just how impressive this world is to me. The game's depiction of the incredibly gritty yet stunning 1274 Mongol invasion of Japan is crafted with immense love and care. Every district, village, prefecture, temple or settlement under any weather or lighting condition, from dawn to sunset, moonlight or heavy rain, maintains jaw-dropping quality. I just look at this game and cannot believe how good it looks all the time. From the Golden Temple in Izuhara, blanketed in yellow leaves, to the horseback journeys with Jin across the island's flora and fauna are timeless, and locations like Toyotama's Umugi Cove or Kamiyagata's Frozen Lake showcase the game's meticulous environmental design and artistry. I'm only scratching the surface when it comes to the countless memorable locations and landmarks in this game. If I covered them all, this video would probably be 10 hours long. The three explorable regions are very different from each other, each with its own personality, which is impressive given how much the game exaggerates open spaces. Izuhara is by far the most fascinating, with so much variety in a small area. Toyotama is less diverse, but nails the harsh reality of feudal Japan of the time. Kamiyagata may be the least interesting, but its weather and role in the story's climax make it memorable. This is one of the best looking video game open worlds, and it is truly unique in its execution. Unlike Red Dead Redemption 2 or Horizon Forbidden West for example, both of which I consider among the finest looking yet technically impressive open worlds, this game doesn't focus on technical realism. Instead, it fully embraces its distinct style and runs with it. Here's the crazy part. The graphics up close aren't perfect, the textures are mediocre, the image overall kind of noisy, but with all that color, contrast, motion and effects, your brain just can't handle how good it looks. This game takes cues from classic Japanese art, cinema and culture, especially Kurosawa's films, but it doesn't just copy them. It creates its own unique mix that's charming, historically authentic and absolutely cinematic. From the dynamic wind effects to the highly saturated lighting, the subtle sway of pampas grass, and the falling leaves with every shade of color naturally achievable, every second in this game is meticulously designed and features unparalleled production value. The game is a prime example of how exceptional art direction trumps visual and technical fidelity. It puts all the lumens, ray tracing, rasterization, real-time reflection, path tracing, and all that mumbo-jumbo hype of the current generation to shame. It's as if the world itself is a living painting, with each moment deserving to be captured. Speaking of which, this game also has the best photo mode of any PlayStation exclusive. This is my 4th playthrough and I've spent hours in the photo mode this time around as well. The level of control it offers combined with the way everything is animated even in the photo mode itself allows for some truly stunning shots. This stunning presentation naturally brings us to how immersively and flawlessly the game guides you through its world. You know how you always complain about Ubisoft games holding your hand too much during exploration? This game holds your hand the entire way without you even realizing it. And there is no need for icons, markers, swiping through maps to mark things, and HUDs cluttering the cinematic immersion. It's all organic. Just sit on your horse's back and let the game take you where it wants to take you. Follow the direction the leaves are falling, the direction the grass sways, where the black and white smoke can be seen in the backdrop. Follow the yellow chirping bird, follow the cute little foxes, follow the torii gates, and simply immerse yourself in this world. If the natural cues sometimes fail, simply swipe up on the PS5 touchpad and follow the guiding wind. I still remember my first few hours with this game in 2020, I couldn't figure out where to go. The guiding system took some time to get used to, but now that I do, I appreciate the system so much. The effort it puts into immersing you in this beautiful world is remarkable. It takes nothing but sheer confidence on the developer's part to do what they did here. This game is meditative. It's my go-to for relaxation. This game helped me through some very difficult and depressing quarantine periods during the 2020 global pandemic. It truly understands what an open world should feel like, and it baffles me that a system this brilliant hasn't been widely adopted, even 5 years later. This is one of the biggest reasons I'm so excited for Ghost of Yotei as well, because they're taking the system even further. This is what every open world game should aspire to be. Everyone should take notes from Sucker Punch because they have, in my opinion, created the most immersive open world experience in gaming history. Yes, some of the things you do in this open world are questionable, which I'll get into later, but in terms of style, presentation, and most importantly, immersion, it remains unmatched in the industry. Just look at how Assassin's Creed Shadows from this year looks compared to Ghost of Tsushima from 2020. The difference is absolutely baffling. Okay, now let's delve into the gameplay side of things. The gameplay of Ghost of Tsushima is all about patience, timing, and strategy, with the end result being deeply satisfying, making it incredibly intoxicating to play. Some people claim the combat gets boring and repetitive, and honestly, I don't understand why. It is not a perfect combat system, but still pretty great. What's more, the way combat directly ties into the core narrative conflict is something so compelling and we rarely see in games. Combat in the game can be categorized into two primary systems with numerous intrinsic components: swordplay and stealth. We begin with swordplay, often referred to as the samurai way, which is the honorable approach to combat. This system is stance-based, with Jin having 4 stances to choose from, each tailored to different enemy types. For example, the moon stance is best used against brutes, it's slower but more deadly. On the other hand, the water stance is designed for regular enemies, trading power for quicker strikes. On paper, this might sound deep and fleshed out, but in practice, I don't think the stance system is all that compelling. At a certain stage, this playthrough being on New Game Plus with everything fully upgraded and having the best weapons, I honestly don't remember switching stances, except during those highly focused duels where I failed multiple times and finer details mattered. So that's how I view the stance system. It's more of an extra step, a finer detail that only really shines in those concentrated, focused fights. When it comes to fighting big groups, which happens a lot in this game, I don't think the stances really matter. Timing your parries and dodges perfectly is all you need to power through. On top of that, you've got plenty of extra tools to compensate for not picking the right stance, like the flaming sword ability, where one fiery slash can take down a Mongol instantly. Then there are the throwables, sticky bombs, kunai, smoke bombs, all of which make the fights much more easier. Don't get me wrong, this game is still pretty challenging, and there's definitely a steep learning curve here. Back when I first played it in 2020, I really struggled with combat, but as I unlocked better skills, mastered more stance moves, upgraded my weapons, and gained plenty of practice across the island of Tsushima, I gradually got better. But I think it nails the perfect difficulty. Not so easy that it feels repetitive, and not so hard that it feels impossible like the Souls game, for players like me at least. And another aspect of the combat is just how beautiful it is. Is it just me, or the animations and Jin's finishing moves absolutely magnificent? Not a single animation feels wasted, awkward, or buggy, unlike, once again, the Assassin's Creed games. Every move carries style and a deep respect for samurai culture. Where this combat truly shines at its absolute peak is, in my opinion, in the duels. This is where strategy, timing, and most importantly, patience comes into play. I get so immersed in these fights, it feels like my eyes are glued to the screen. The vast array of enemy types and their AI in duels is highly unpredictable. Each one has its own tricks up its sleeve. Every duel demands precise parries, well-timed dodges, and careful counters. One mistake can cost you a huge chunk of health and even death. So you have to stay strategic, and that's the beauty of it. The duels reward patience. Even when you fail to break the enemy's guard, when that rare chance presents itself, it never feels wasted because their block strength has its own hidden meter. My only real issue with the duels is that the combat isn't very adaptable during high-stakes fights. Every animation is so precise and deliberate that split-second decision-making can feel restricted. For instance, if I press the dodge button when the game actually expects a parry, it doesn't register properly. It feels like my controller hangs for a second, and that can have serious consequences for my health bar. Other than that, it's such a fleshed out system, incredibly immersive, rewarding, very difficult even in this playthrough, and there's that word again, cinematic. Speaking of more things that are cinematic, let's talk about the standoff mechanic. The satisfaction of perfectly pulling off a standoff sequence is unmatched. It's so stylish and gets you hyped for the action ahead, while constantly reminding you of the honor in fighting like a samurai. Right before combat, especially at enemy bases, the game gives you that choice. It carries major narrative weight, which I'll cover in the next chapter. Similarly, you have the ghost stance, Jin's version of a rage mode similar to Kratos. The way the screen shifts into black and white, echoing Kurosawa's films, is not only incredibly cool, but also overpowered, turning every strike into a one-hit kill. It's easily one of the most aesthetically pleasing gameplay mechanics in recent memory. So that was the samurai combat. I really wanted to go into detail this time, sorry if it was a bit too long, but I genuinely enjoyed it and wanted to touch on all the components. Now let's move on to the shameless way to fight, the ghost way. This is where the samurai code of conduct gets broken, and honestly it feels pretty damn good to do so. And it all begins with how satisfying it feels to move Jin Sakai around. If you have seen my previous videos, you know I obsess over character movement. It's one of the most underrated aspects of video games, yet it's rarely discussed by reviewers. Think about it. In most games, the majority of your time, probably around 70%, is spent just moving the character. So getting that right is incredibly important. Moving Jin Sakai through enemy camps, jumping between smaller houses, going in and out of buildings, squeezing between objects and gaps, using his grappling hook for a quick maneuver, elevating to the highest point within an enemy camp, and scouting the area, it all feels amazing because Jin feels smooth and responsive. That being said, the stealth combat isn't anything to write home about. It's pretty basic for the most part. You sneak up behind an enemy and just press square for an assassination. There are also chain assassinations similar to Assassin's Creed, allowing you to take down up to 3 enemies at once. That's about it. The stealth takedowns aren't very varied either, with only 2 or 3 repeated animations showing up constantly. AI is also very dumb in this regard. Enemies don't react to dead bodies, and there aren't many notable environmental takedowns either. This is one area where the game needs a major overhaul in Ghost of Yotei. Hopefully we see that. I'm very optimistic. There isn't much to say about the stealth mechanics. They're straightforward, but they have big narrative implications. To summarize the gameplay side of things, I think this is a solid package. Playing as Jin Sakai is incredibly satisfying and rewarding. It's a set of highly polished and carefully curated systems, and honestly, quite perfect. The only part that needs more tweaking is the stealth. The brilliance of Ghost of Tsushima's story lies in how the narrative connects everything you do, making you question each step. It delivers a strong, cohesive tale across 3 distinct acts, each centered on a key conflict. Like a tree with 3 branches, it holds everything together while letting the story flow naturally. In this story section, I'll focus on the 3 key conflicts. The first branch is the foundation of the narrative, the Mongol invasion of Japan led by Khotun Khan. In my view, this is the only narrative drawback, which I'll explain in a little while. The second is Jin's duality, his search for identity. Is he a samurai bound by honor, or does that honor bleed into the shadows as he becomes the ghost? Finally, there is how this duality shapes everything, from gameplay to the people of Tsushima to the characters around Jin, specifically his uncle Lord Shimura. The game masterfully thrusts us into this first conflict in the introduction, where Khotun Khan launches his invasion on Japan, Jin Sakai suffers his first defeat, and his uncle is taken captive. On the brink of death multiple times, Jin is saved by a thief named Yuna, who heals him and gets him back on his feet. She becomes pivotal to his growth as the ghost, while his uncle Shimura remains in the back of his mind, urging him to fight with honor. The first act fully immerses itself in this particular duality, where the island's dire situation forces Jin to fight dishonorably, since survival depends on it while honor leads nowhere. The game presents 2 clear paths for Jin Sakai, Yuna's way or Shimura's way. It constantly returns to the struggle, shaping every kill and feeling like a demon both Jin and the player must confront.
Jin, we look them in the eye with courage. Only cowards strike from the shadows.
Forgive me, Uncle.
The first act feels natural as everything builds toward the assault on Castle Canada, where Khotun Khan holds Lord Shimura captive. To prepare, Jin meets a range of new characters, from a thief to a blacksmith to a sensei to a sake seller, while gathering resources and allies like the Straw Hats led by his old friend Rizu for the attack. At the same time, he begins to embrace the role of the ghost for the people of Tsushima. His actions initially scares people, but eventually inspire those around him to fight for their land, weaving in a strong theme of patriotism. The rescue of Lord Shimura is successful, leading directly into Act 2. Here, the main objective shifts to reclaiming Castle Shimura from Khotun Khan. Yet this goal feels secondary compared to the far more compelling conflict between Lord Shimura and Jin. For Shimura, it is almost unbearable to accept the dishonorable way Jin has been fighting.
Jin, what are you doing? Clearing the way. Not like that. Never like that. Face them as a warrior with honor, not a monster.
The duality that had been brewing fades as Jin fully embraces his path, but it erupts when his uncle refuses to accept it. And I don't know about you, but while this conflict is very compelling, it can also be very frustrating. Countless soldiers are massacred during the attack on Castle Shimura, yet Lord Shimura still insists on fighting honorably.
No. We've lost too many. If you had listened to me...
Enough!
There is another way.
The dynamic between Lord Shimura and Jin Sakai is incredible. Every cutscene with them draws me right into the story. They complement each other perfectly, despite having completely different personalities.
I trained you to fight with honor.
Honor died on the beach. The Khan deserves to suffer.
You are ruled by your emotion.
I sacrificed everything I knew to save our people. I gave them hope. You did nothing! No. We're finished.
On a side note, the voice acting makes these cutscenes so impactful. But from a technical standpoint, Ghost of Yotei needs to improve on this. The cutscenes here don't match the gameplay visually, creating a noticeable divide. We also see Yuna becoming a key character in the story. Until now, her focus had been on finding a way out, but after her brother Taka's death, she shares Jin's motivation to avenge him and support Jin in his fight. After Jin Sakai and Lord Shimura, Yuna is the strongest character in the game, in my opinion. She is composed and never lets her emotions distract her from her focus. I also really enjoy the chemistry between Jin and Yuna. their romantic status is kept vague, with subtle romantic undertones, which in my opinion subverts expectations. Act 2 ends with, in my opinion, the best story moment in the game. Jin fully breaks from his uncle, poisoning the fermented milk in the Mongol garrison, and killing his friend Rizu. His defiance and embrace of the ghost persona force Shimura to arrest him, unwilling to let Jin's dishonorable methods to go unchallenged, especially in front of the shogun's representatives.
You are Jin Shimura, loyal servant to the shogun. My heir. My son.
I am not your son. I am the ghost.
Jin Sakai escapes imprisonment thanks to Kenji, leading into the final act of the game. This is where the story's main drawback appears. As I mentioned before, while the game tries to resolve all conflicts in the final act, it fails to fully address the central narrative of the Mongol invasion. That part, in my opinion, feels rushed. Facing Khotun Khan, a character who is barely present throughout the game, makes him feel like a distant, almost generic villain. If you asked me his motivation for invading Japan right now, I honestly don't remember, and I have beaten the story like 2 hours ago. Act 3 needed more time in the oven, like the first 2 acts, to make the Mongols feel like a personal looming threat. This is where the story, in my opinion, falls short. But the game makes up for it with the resolution of the conflict between Shimura and Jin, culminating in a climactic duel when the shogun orders Shimura to kill Jin Sakai. It's a difficult playthrough. I care deeply about both characters and I didn't see this coming. The game gives no easy choice. Either kill Shimura, honoring tragic yet traditional samurai values, or just spare him, fully embracing the ghost identity by acting without honor but saving a family member. I chose to spare him, which in my view fits Jin Sakai's character best. Let me know in the comments if you killed him, I'm honestly curious. To conclude, Ghost of Tsushima tells a deeply compelling story, anchored by Jin Sakai's journey and the conflicts that define him. While Act 3 and the Mongol invasion feel rushed, the game shines through its exploration of duality, the evolving relationships between characters like Shimura and Yuna, and the emotional weight of choices that challenge honor and identity. Not to mention, this game has some crazy moments that I won't forget for years and years to come. Its storytelling, voice acting, and character dynamics make it a standout experience, even with minor narrative flaws. For me, it's a masterful mix of personal growth, epic conflict, and the cost of embracing a new path. Before we move to the conclusion, I want to briefly touch on some of the side content in this game. In addition to smaller quests, there are side tales, collectibles, and mythic tales, scattered throughout your journey across the island. Let's get the bad out of the way first. I really dislike the side tales in this game. Sure, they're interesting and tie into almost every main story character. Sensei Ishikawa, Yuna, Lady Masako, Kenji, Norio all have their own questlines. These characters are engaging, though mostly similar, reflecting the tranquil, stoic nature of samurai culture, except for Kenji, who is genuinely funny. The problem is what you actually do in these side tales. Ride to locations, track footsteps, or investigate things, and it eventually ends with some fighting or duels. That's it. This is exactly why I never replayed them. I completed them all at once when I planned the game on PS4, then just popped the trophies on the PS5 version. With that out of the way, I absolutely love the mythic tales. I didn't do many in this particular playthrough, but the ones I did were incredible. One in particular involved rumors of a brave samurai, which was mysterious since most of them are dead. You meet him and he even invites you to a duel, only to reveal that he's an imposter. It made me laugh so hard. There's another quest involving rumors of samurai spirits in the forest, with stories of anyone who investigates being killed. As you search the forest, you discover there are no spirits, just bandits using it as their home. Small quests like these add so much character to Tsushima. Not to mention, they provide amazing customization and outfits for Jin Sakai, along with a natural sense of progression from completing them. Same applies for the many collectibles. This is how collectibles should be, naturally discovered in the world, with the wind and nature subtly guiding you to them. The fox dens can get a little repetitive, but they are charming, and the bamboo strikes are fantastic, testing your button pressing speed. I had a lot of fun with them. My favorite collectibles are the Shinto shrines. Guided by torii gates across the island, they feel like small Uncharted-style sections, where you scale walls, climb ledges, and jump between platforms, even using the iron hook, which is incredibly fun. The best part? They reward you with sweeping views of the island, letting me fully appreciate this beautiful world, which I absolutely love. And I've saved the best for last. All the duels you encounter throughout quests, mythic tales, and side content. These are the highlights of the game. The duels are so good I can't ignore them, even on a replay. The set dressing is beautiful, and the enemies are so varied that you never know what you're facing, creating a sense of intrigue every time. Some of them are incredibly difficult, but it never feels like a grind because the gameplay is so good in those moments. It's honestly peak video game thrill. The blood rush when you finally win a duel is unbeatable. Overall, I really enjoy the format of Ghost of Tsushima's content, but the side tales need an overhaul in Ghost of Yotei. The gap in production value between the main story and the side tales is noticeable. I'd love to see them take inspiration from Horizon Forbidden West, making side tales feel just as important as the main story, with cutscenes and production value equally impressive. With Ghost of Yotei just 3 to 4 days away from release, how well does its predecessor hold up? Honestly, this game hasn't aged a single day. I'm playing the director's cut, which helps, especially for the timeless visuals and presentation, but even the gameplay mechanics, fluid and responsive 5 years later, prove that this game was truly something special. It redefined open world design from a fatigue perspective, created in a way that feels meticulously planned by Sucker Punch, where every detail flows and respects their vision. The story is great, and Jin Sakai is an amazing protagonist whose journey is beautifully concluded. I know some are upset that the sequel isn't about Jin, but his story feels satisfying, and after spending so much time with him, I'm satiated. I can't wait to jump into Atsu's story next week. I have pre-ordered the game and it's ready to go. If they implement the improvements I mentioned, like better side tales, enhanced cinematic fidelity, and a bit more gameplay tightening, Ghost of Yotei is poised to be my game of the year. I just know it. You can also check out this particular video to see why I think Yotei is poised for greatness. Keep an eye on the channel for a similar in-depth analysis of Ghost of Yotei, and please subscribe to the channel, it really motivates me. I'm not a professional reviewer yet, so I don't have a review copy, even though I shamelessly reached out to Sucker Punch. Sadly, they didn't provide one, so it might take a couple of weeks for that video. Your patience is much appreciated. Before that, let me know in the comments your thoughts on Ghost of Tsushima. Do you love it, hate it, or are you excited for Yotei? Let's discuss in the comments. Both sides are welcome, just be respectful to each other. Thank you for your time. Rax Plays, signing off.